No. Give me that. You get the little one.
No, give me that. Grab the little one.
Why?
Because you bought it.
I thought I bought this one for you, and I was going to use that one.
Oh, I bought the more expensive mic to let you use it.
Look how cute this one is.
It's adorable.
Doesn't it look like a droid?
You literally were saying how much you like it and how it looks so much like a cute little droid, so why don't you want to use it?
It's alright.
Hey everyone, so welcome to a new episode of Talk Nerdy with me. We are your hosts, Brittany and Adam, and we're going to be discussing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes 1 through 3 today. We have seen the 4th episode, just as a side note, but we did decide that we're just going to have to make a whole episode on that because there's just so much to discuss. It might be right after this one. It might be tomorrow that we discuss it. It'll be very, very soon though.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bonus since we forgot to record.
Yeah, we were going to do just the first half and then the last half, and then we were going to do it afterward until we realized there was only 6 episodes in total, and then now we kind of have to do an emergency episode anyway because episode 4 was just that crazy.
It was so intense, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I almost got sidetracked. We're just going to be doing kind of how we did our Snyder Cut. We're not going to go as in depth, I think, into like the Easter eggs like we did with WandaVision, right?
Yep.
So
There's just not as many, too.
Yeah, like the ones that are there, I feel like are more of like callbacks to previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like not so much like, oh, look at this obscure reference in a clock.
Yeah.
So we're just going to be doing it kind of more like the Snyder Cut, where we talk about the cool stuff that we thought was cool.
Yeah.
You're far.
Thought you wanted me over here.
No. I said not to move.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. There we go.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So kick us off.
Yeah, right off the bat, I just think this has already blown away, like, the expectations I had for the show. And not that I thought it was going to be, like, bad in any way, but just going into it, you really felt like Falcon and Bucky were such underdeveloped characters, just in the sense that we didn't really know what they could really be doing. And this is obviously the point of these TV shows, is to give, like, more of the side characters their own story and make them feel a lot more important. And I think even through the first 2 episodes, you already feel that way, because it goes a lot more into their backstory, the things they're dealing with, you know, from everything that's happened during the entire original Avengers series, and just going into their personal life and explaining, like, their struggles. And it really makes you, like, connect to them, realize just another side of post the blip, you know what I mean?
Right.
When everyone disappeared, how people are still adjusting to lives after that. And the show itself just goes into a lot deeper issues, which I think is really, like, big for Marvel. There's a lot of things they go over in the show that are real life issues, and I think that's really cool that they're actually going there and not really putting a cap or restriction on themselves.
Well, I mean, I do think that, like, we both have thought so far, I mean, I love that they're taking this route, taking the more, like, I guess political, you could say, route, with specifically like a very Captain America team. Like Captain America has always had to do with politics, like always. I mean, in the comics, it was always revolving around it, like in some way or another, like referencing real world issues. Yeah. I just had always assumed that with Disney, they were going to shy away from so many topics because it's Disney. Yeah. You know, they don't want to offend anyone. They don't want to, I don't know, they don't want to be too bold, but I think it's just impressive that they're doing it. Yeah. Like, really, I think that they're doing it in such a good way. I mean, there's no better characters to talk about something like that than Captain America's best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, I think that it's definitely developing characters that didn't have much of a personality, let's say, before this.
Yeah.
Obviously we knew Bucky from the original Captain America, and then like when he was going through his emo phase, and then Falcon, I loved him, but he was really just there to support Captain America.
They never let him say much. Like, he was always
he had very few lines.
Yeah, exactly.
He had such few lines, and he was a really cool guy, but it almost felt like he was just like
he was underused.
He was like a cheerleader for Captain America. He's like, I believe in you.
Yeah.
I will be here for you.
Yeah.
And that's all we got out of him, and I love seeing more of him. He's such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Because we both said we thought that we weren't going to love this because we didn't actually know the characters. Yeah. And when we started to really like recognize their personalities and their dynamic, I love their dynamic. that was kind of when the whole show flipped for us.
Yeah, and that was one thing too. Like Anthony Mackie alone is a great actor, so that's why we were watching, you know, the older movies where he first gets introduced, and we're just like, why don't they give him more lines? Like, he's such a fun person, you know what I mean? So you want to hear him talk, you want to see the personality in this character, and they just didn't feel like much in the older movies.
They really gave him a sidekick role, like solid.
And don't get me wrong, that was literally Falcon to Captain America. You know,
totally,
that's by design usually how it is, but just from like what you're getting out of the character, you usually hope they get a little more out of him.
Right.
You know, so...
I mean, especially when, like, you can utilize such a good actor.
Exactly.
You know, like, so I'm glad that they took this route. And obviously they kind of had to, because these are the characters that we're going to be with during Phase 4.
Yeah. Well, just to kick that off, though, because obviously, you know, about Anthony Mackie, like, he's been in a lot of movies.
So many.
Bucky, on the other hand, the movies he has been in after the big role he had in the original Captain America, he's barely had any lines. And I was really... I didn't know what he could actually do in Infinity War.
Movies for, like, Marvel.
Yeah, just like after... so like after, you know, he finally got out of the brainwashing and he was on the good guy side again.
He still had no lines.
He still had no lines. And,
but
like,
they still had such a good dynamic.
They did. Well, those two did together.
Yeah.
But I'm saying him, I felt like he was even more underdeveloped because they barely used him. I think in Endgame, he maybe had 2 or 3 lines in the entire movie. And, like, there's so many characters, you got to get the ones out that have dialogue moving the story. You know what I mean? Anything he's doing is probably not doing much for the story. But even in Infinity War, after being called the White Wolf and having the cameo,
I mean, you could even say, like, Civil War itself revolved around him, and he had, like, 5 lines.
Exactly. So,
and of course, like, that's kind of the character he was meant to be.
Right.
He was brainwashed. He was, like, in trauma. And he's not going to talk a lot during that. He went through a lot. But even in Civil War, I think, like, the shining moments of both of them were when they were interacting with each other. I told you I loved the feud because you can feel it. Like, I'm sure we've all had a best friend situation where our best friend gets another best friend and they're like, now everyone can be friends, and you're kind of looking at the other best friend and you're like, no.
Yeah. I think my favorite part, because we just rewatched Civil War recently, and the part when in the airport and Spider-Man knocks both of them out basically and just webs them to the floor. And he's like, you couldn't have done that sooner because he sent Red Wing to just kind of knock him out and pull him away. And then he's like, he's like, couldn't you have done that sooner? And Sam's just like, I hate you. Yeah. And then again in episode 2, we have the scene where they jump out of a plane because they're going to do some investigation. And Bucky says, oh, there's no parachute, I don't need one. Just jumps out by himself. Lands, splats right on the floor. And then Red Wing pops up. Yeah. It's exactly the same situation.
Well, because Falcon's like, I'm going without you. And, you know, Bucky, not to be outdone by Captain America's other best friend, is like, no. Me too.
Still, that was probably the most ridiculous thing I've seen. It's like, I don't care if you're a super soldier. Why would you just jump out of a plane like that?
I mean, but to be fair, that's what Captain America's always done.
Yeah, but he usually lands or does something cool. Bucky just hit a tree.
I mean, fair. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Captain America's super serum is on a different level than everyone else's. But, like, I mean, no, my favorite scene, I've told you this a million times, I think it's an iconic scene, is just the car scene. You know? Where Sam's in the front seat and Bucky's sitting right behind him and he's like, move up your seat. He's like, no. He's like, you're not going to move up your seat?
In Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they do it again in this one.
I know, because they switch places in, what was that?
Episode 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, in episode 3, same situation.
You're not going to put your seat up, are you? Nope.
It was such good payback. I love them. I was thinking about it because we've actually been rewatching all of the Captain America movies. We've both kind of gained like a new appreciation for Captain America, but watching him and Bucky, because I just watched the original one last night, interact, and then like knowing how far Bucky falls and knowing just in general like the kind of character that Sam is, where he wants to help people, he wants to like assist people through like a hard time. I love that they have each other, you know, like, because losing Captain America was just like such a vital piece of both of their lives, and like to see them interact makes me just so happy. Even though they hate each other, they don't hate each other. It's gonna be hate to love. not like romantic love, but like friend love. Yeah, maybe romantic love.
It's not.
It's not gonna be romantic love.
No, I totally agree though. It's just cool because they're just so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're really similar in any way.
Yeah.
But you can see like there's situations where opposites attract, you know what I mean? And for their situations, what they're going through and what they're trying to do with their lives, they really are perfect for each other to be best friends, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's even interesting because Bucky originally was a lot like Sam. Like, he was a soldier. He was doing a lot of things for his country. He did the right thing. He believed in, like, doing the right thing till the last moments. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. Obviously, Sam never got to know that Bucky. He only ever knew the one that was a troublemaker. But it's just gonna be interesting to see, like, if Sam can kind of bring that back out in him, you know? I mean, already you're kind of seeing it because obviously this all starts because Sam gives away his shield. Yeah. Not gives away. He just didn't feel necessarily like it was his to own. He wanted it in a museum. He felt like it should be part of Captain America. Bucky takes it so personally. And you're just kind of exploring already how Bucky's like, well, if you don't want it, then I'll do it. Like, I'll take up the mantle. And that's a huge move because Captain America is a big symbol. Yeah. And something I don't think he would have done prior to this. It sucks because you really understand Sam's perspective to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, when he gave him that shield, you saw the hesitation where it's like, it's not that I don't want to do this because I don't think I deserve it. It's I don't want to do this because you are, in my eyes, like, the greatest hero ever, you know what I mean? And it's like it's so hard to live up to that, but it's also just like he didn't think that they needed another Captain America. They just needed a symbol to be there. Well, you know? I don't even think it's just that, because I think it's in the first episode. It's hard, they're blending, but where him and Bucky are discussing it, I think it's the second actually, and Bucky's like, "Why did you do it?" And he's like, "You don't get it. You don't get it what it's like to be a guy like me trying to take it up." And I think that it's just really kind of going to lean towards the side of being like, he's black, you know, like, it's something that even, like, the little kid was telling him, like, "Oh, you're the Black Falcon," and he's like, "Why? I'm the Falcon." And he doesn't want to be the Black Captain America. The Black Captain America. He knows that, like, this is going to be a step, and I don't think he thinks that America's ready for it. You know, I don't even think it's that he's not necessarily, I think that's part of it, but I think he knows that, like, America itself isn't going to treat him the way they should. Yeah. And I think if you haven't seen it yet, that sounds a little bit of a weird assumption to make, but they're really going into themes like that, like, rather quickly in the show. In episode 2, right in that moment, so in episode 2, after they realize there are other super soldiers, Bucky takes Sam over to meet Isaiah Bradley, who is essentially, he was from, I think, World War II as well. Yeah, he was also given the super serum. You know, he's a black soldier, and instead of getting the hero treatment Captain America got, being a super soldier still alive, because keep in mind, Captain America was iced after he got lost. This guy was imprisoned, and they, ran tests on him. They took his blood. They ran, his body was basically not his own. Yeah, his body was used as an experiment to try and recreate the super soldier serum. He was never given any kind of awards, no honors. It was just prison. Like, not even a facility. It was prison. Yeah. And this is a storyline from the comics. Yeah. This isn't something that they're just making up specifically for the show. Yeah. And I think that was the moment that happened right before the conversation I'm telling you about, where, like, they're talking about why he gave up the shield. And right in that moment, right as he's saying, "You don't get what it's like to be a guy like me," that's when police roll up and they're like, "Yo, whoa, is there a fight going on?" Yeah. And he's like, "No, we're just talking." Yeah. And it escalates so fast. Yeah, in this scene, it was honestly, like, cringe isn't the right word, but uncomfortable. And, like, I felt uncomfortable watching it, in the sense that this is something that happens. You know what I mean? Something because that happens. They're in a city. It looks like a not as great part of town where they went to go meet Isaiah. But yeah, so they're leaving this place, and Sam right off the bat is pissed at Bucky. He's like, "There was pretty much a Black Captain America, and no one told me about it. One, but the world doesn't know about it too." And for Sam to be an Avenger, he's offended, but he's just like, he's mad because that's something that should be known to people, and he should be recognized as a hero, not someone who was imprisoned and tested on as an experiment. And now is being life. Like, I don't know, stored away in a house to be, like, kept silent. Reclusive. It's hard to know. And he's obviously offended because this is something that it's showing such an obvious inequality, and things just haven't gotten good enough, obviously. And in that moment is exactly when, like, the police show up and they're escalating everything even more. And then you have Bucky be like, "Do you even know who this is?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't recognize you without the glasses. I'm sorry, dude." And it's like, no, that's not cool. Like, it shouldn't have to do with him being an Avenger or not being an Avenger. There wasn't even, like, a fight happening. They were just talking. Yeah, no, I think there was even a part where the police, they looked at Bucky and they're like, "Is there a problem here?" They did, yeah. And it's just like, come on, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, it was hard to watch because, like you said, it's something that definitely happens. And it's just like, it's an uncomfortable truth that I think that it's good that they're exploring because so many people want to avoid it, you know? And it's something that happens, especially in like a worse part of town.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I am curious where they're going to end up taking that, because the thing is, we're in episode 4 now, we just finished it, and you feel all these little storylines keep being built up.
Oh my
and
God.
It's really crazy now because I'm just like, there is so much that can still be unpacked in the last 2 episodes. Like, they keep adding more on top of what's going on.
I'm glad they're longer episodes than
They are.
WandaVision.
Yeah, they really do feel
well,
like
they are.
movies,
They're like,
honestly.
they're about 45-minute episodes. So we're getting a good chunk.
Yeah.
But we have 2 episodes left, and I don't know how they're going to wrap things up because, I mean, from episodes 1 to 3, we have that storyline being explored. We have this new Captain America that quite literally is just a carbon copy of the Steve Rogers we know and love without any of the heart. Like, none of the heart and soul. And that's what makes Steve Rogers in Captain America. And he, gosh, I just...
Well, we'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
But just on top of, like, stuff they're building off of, like, with Isaiah Bradley, that reference in episode 2,
Yeah.
we don't know if he's going to come back and have to be a super soldier to help stop them
or
again.
even just be, like, I don't know, a mentor.
To Sam.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, too. You know, we have Zemo now. Zemo's in it. There's just so many different things.
Zemo.
There's just so many different things that we don't actually know what exactly they're going to end up doing. But I think that's what's made this one so fun. It's just so action-packed and filled with everything you want. Like, you're laughing, you're like, whoa, that's awesome. The fight sequences are crazy.
I think every episode has left me like stunned
Yeah.
at some point. Mm-hmm. You know, like every episode. I mean, the last one being like the most extreme, but every single episode I've had a moment where I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, okay. Yeah.
But I've left every episode just being more impressed than the last.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, this, well, because
The first episode, we were both kind of like, oh, yeah, that was cool.
the thing about the first episode, I think the pacing was a little bit off. Like, it kept going from, you know, it started off awesome. Like, the action sequence in the beginning was super cool, and then it slowed down a lot. It gave you, you know, backstory into Sam, what he's doing with his life and his family, and then Bucky and his backstory, and what he's trying to do to, like, make amends and go to therapy and stuff. So the pacing was kind of off in that one. 2, you know, you get more into action, and then 3 onward is just awesome. Like, I've rewatched episode 3 and 4 so many times now.
You know what I just remembered? Like, speaking of like awkward moments between Bucky and Sam.
Therapy session.
Oh my God, the therapy session. It was amazing. That's like
funny.
what, apparently that was like off the cusp. I told you that, right?
Oh, it was
like,
improvised?
Yeah, like they improvised that scene where they're like merging their legs together because they're like, you have to face each other. And he's like, is this close enough? And they have to like, they basically puzzle piece like their legs together. And they're like, really, really this close? And he's like, you wanted it.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you having a staring contest now?
It's so funny. And I think the funniest thing between the two of them, like, they're hilarious on screen, but apparently they're also, like, best friends off screen, too. So that's why there's, like, even more chemistry.
Have you seen the interviews where, like, they're both texting Chris, and they're like, I love you, and then, like, that it came out that they all had said I love you to him at the same time without, like, you know, any preamble at all.
Yeah. They're so funny. But,
yeah,
their chemistry as actors is just so fantastic to watch. It's so much fun.
I think it's pretty apparent that they are really close. You know what I mean? So, like, they get to play this role where they're like, I hate you.
Yeah, it's because they're,
like, you
they
can
play
tell they
themselves.
don't. Yeah, like, you can tell they don't. Like, they love each other. They
Yeah.
think they're cool. Like, they're just a bunch of dorks.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. And Zemo being tossed in now.
I love him so much.
He's like,
so
he's
funny.
the seasoning we needed.
Yeah.
Because he's so funny.
Yeah. It was funny because
weird way.
I really
they're
had
all serious funny. They're all serious funny.
That's what really makes this feel like just such a top tiered action movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just action. I'm laughing so hard at a lot of these scenes.
This is like
and the dialogue.
The epitome of what Marvel does with their movies and humor.
Yeah.
Like, this is the epitome of Marvel humor. Like, think Thor Ragnarok, think Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, that is the kind of humor.
Serious situations with a lot of, like,
nice
jumping
lines, like
going on,
one-liners. But
I totally agree. Should we talk about John Walker?
Yeah, let's talk about John Walker. I think that that's important. John Walker's new Captain America, according to the government, because after Sam so kindly gives the shield with the promise that it's going to be shown next to Steve Rogers' suit in the museum, they literally take it and give it to another guy that's apparently been training to be Captain America this whole time, because they mention, oh, he's been training with the shield, and it's like, he just got the shield.
Yeah.
He just got the shield. And first of all, you should have assumed that Sam was going to be the Captain America, so why weren't you training him? I have questions. I'm annoyed. I was annoyed from the moment I saw him.
Yeah.
And I knew he was going to be bad because he had no lips. I'm sorry. I'm sure the actor is a perfectly kind person, but you don't have lips.
Yeah. Right off the bat, you knew that he's going to be a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, he is hoping he has the best ideals, but you knew he would end up being an antagonist, for some reason.
The best villains start out trying to do good.
Yeah.
Like, not to say he's going to be a villain, but you're already seeing so many questionable behaviors on his side.
Yeah. And I really like the way they introduced him, though, because, like, not the episode 1 where they showed him at the end. His introduction in episode 2 I really liked because you feel the human side of him. You know what I mean? Because he is being given this job. He does want to do the best job he can.
Oh, see, I feel like the introduction in episode 2 was what solidified that I wasn't going to like him.
Really?
Yeah, because, okay, obviously, he's kind of, like, butting in on a mission that Sam and Bucky had taken upon themselves because there's super soldier serum being just put out into the world. And he's just already trying to take the lead, trying to take charge. He's like, come on, guys, let's, like, work together and, like, let's do this together as a team. And, like, you can just tell that, like, he's trying to befriend Captain America's best friends. Like, even in that interview that happens, he's like, no, I personally never met Captain America, but I've always really admired him, and I feel like I'm just, like, doing, like, what he would want.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the interview on Good Morning America definitely left you more with a sour taste because he's saying stuff that felt more scripted than, like, from the heart.
Well, but it starts that way, doesn't it?
No, it starts, he's in the locker room preparing himself mentally, and he's talking with his wife, and then Lamar, you know what I mean? And they're giving him a pep talk. He's like, pep talk. And they're pretty much just cheering him on. They're like, no one's more qualified than you to do this. He's like, I don't want to let everyone down. You know what I mean? It really feels like a guy who's going out there trying to do the best at this. But on our end, we're seeing him as, you're not Captain America, but you're trying to be. And that's why it's like, right off the bat, he was set up for failure. Like, he was never going to be able to do this the right way.
Well, I mean, even, like, the part where they're asking him, or I don't remember how it comes up exactly, but they mentioned, like, the whole bomb being thrown in and how Steve had thrown himself on top of the bomb to save everyone else. And they're like, would you ever do that? And he's like, oh, I've done it 3 times. I mean, my helmet can trap the bomb. And it's like, that's not the same situation, dude. Like, yes, it is honorable and it also probably takes a lot of courage. But Steve literally knew he would die by doing that and would save everyone else, while his helmet, he knew, would trap the bomb.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was going to die. He barely expected to die.
Yeah.
And that was what made Peggy Carter at the end decide, like, yes, this is the person that has the right soul.
Yeah. I feel that. I do think that's kind of an unfair comparison, though, because at this point, the reason he was chosen, because he had such a decorated resume from being a soldier in the wars. You know what I mean? Like, he does have those 3...
We won't go too far into that one because that gets mentioned in 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? But that's where they were going with, like, because Steve Rogers was chosen as a normal person with a good heart to be a super soldier. This guy was pretty much chosen as a super soldier to be the guy.
But that was always the point.
Oh, 100%.
Because that was the thing. Like,
Yeah,
in Captain America, 100%, they always wanted it to be a big, buff soldier dude that didn't think for himself.
Yeah.
Like, to be, like, quite honest. So that's what they wanted. And it was, like, the scientist and Peggy that were like, no, we need someone that can, like, think for themselves, that has the good soul for this, because everything's getting enhanced, you know? And even though John Walker isn't getting the super serum, he still is supposed to be symbolizing a person that wasn't known because he was the strongest or the, I don't know, wittiest, the smartest, none of that. He was the person that had the best heart.
Yeah.
And you can just tell that that wasn't what the government had been focused on when they chose the new Captain America. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's definitely something that was so blatantly obvious that they made the mistake that they were about to make before they chose Steve Rogers.
Yeah. I just think it's crazy that they didn't even consult Sam before making the decision. You know what I mean? Because it's the worst part is after he gave up the shield and he did the little press conference in the beginning, and he's just like, thank you, Captain America, pretty much saying this belongs in the museum with all of, your memorabilia or whatever. The guy who gave the shield to John Walker,
he could have told him.
Well, no, he shook his hand. He's like, thank you, Sam, you did the right thing. Meaning he knew he was getting that to give it away.
Well,
and
not
that's
even
what pisses me off.
Even if you weren't thinking that he was going to give it to someone else, him saying you did the right thing is just so disrespectful because how is that the right thing? Captain America, the person that embodied that symbol, gave it to Sam. Mm-hmm. How could him giving it away ever be the right thing? Yeah, it's just not. Like, it
made me so sad, honestly. Like, especially when it was finally revealed and you could see the disappointment with Sam and with Bucky.
Right.
Sam, disappointment and just regret, obviously, but Bucky just anger.
Well, because that's the
He's
thing.
Like, I know this guy's a douche.
See, that's how I am. Me and Bucky get each other. Yeah. But no, because Sam, the worst part is knowing that, like, he does have that battle inside of him where he didn't feel worthy to carry the mantle, and then to have a decorated official tell you did the right thing is basically verifying your own fears, being like, yeah, you weren't right for this job, so thanks for turning it in.
Yeah, but it just sucks because as the show goes on and you see how he interacts with other people, how he interacts with Carly,
he acts so much like Captain America.
How to try to get her to, like, not be a terrorist, essentially, is what she is. You're just like, no one else embodies Captain America more than Sam.
After Steve Rogers.
Like, even if they have never met, there's not a single character in the MCU.
I mean, literally, the way that
Captain America.
The way they met is because he hosts, like, the anonymous group where all of the vets can kind of, like, discuss and try and, like, get over their trauma. PTSD. Yeah. And, like, that's what he loves to do. He likes helping people. He didn't want any glory. He said that from the start. Like, he doesn't want any glory. He didn't need to be there for the fame or anything like that. And that was, again, one of the qualities that they looked for in Captain America. Because they asked him, like, in the original movie, they're like, do you want to kill a bunch of Germans or Nazis? Do you want to kill a bunch of Nazis? And he's like, is this a true question? And the guy was like, yeah. And he goes, well, no, I don't want to kill anyone. And he was like, yeah, that was the right answer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's so upsetting to watch it happen.
Yeah. It is cool, though, because, like, you're just so on, like, Team Sam and Bucky. You're just like, I want the world for these two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want everything to go right. Like, they need their own actual, like, movie after this because the series has been so good. Like, you just really want them to have more prominent roles going forward.
They're going to. They're definitely going to. Yeah. I think it was, in the first episode where Sam is trying to get that loan. Mm-hmm. I think that was, like, one of the bigger parts where you kind of see his character because he didn't want to bring up that he was an Avenger. He didn't want to bring up that he'd been in the blip. He didn't want to explain.
He doesn't want that to be him. You know what I mean?
Well, like, he didn't want any kind of excuse to get his title or loan or whatever it is. Yeah. And then he lost out on the loan. Even once the guy recognized him, he's like, would you give me an autograph? And it's like...
so annoying.
Yeah.
That scene, too, is so uncomfortable. Like, it's like... You know what I mean? Like, it was entertaining and, like, pretty spot on for how I'd imagined that would go. But that was just so bothersome, too, just to see it, like, play out like that.
It's sad, too.
Just because someone just fully, like, you're a celebrity. This is awesome. But no, I can't give you what you need to help support your family. You know what I mean?
Where he's literally like, I know everything that you've done for the world. You saved our world. But because you can't show employment for the past 3 years, I'm not going to be able to give you that loan that's going to save your family business that you've had for forever.
Yeah. So...
Ugh.
That sucked, but...
I mean, and like I said, I don't think John Walker is a bad person. Mm-hmm. I think he has the right intentions, but the problem wasn't that. It's just that the higher up people should have realized he was never going to embody the things that Captain America should have embodied.
But that's the thing. It's like Captain America is not even something that can be, like, just labeled. You know what I mean? Like, he was just such a symbol in himself before he even did any of the things he did. Right. So that's why it's like... It can't be artificial like that. It has to be natural.
It can't be based on, like, decorative awards, on honors, on physical abilities or charisma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all going to play a part, especially if they don't have any super serum. Mm-hmm. But, like, the main test should have all been personality.
Yeah. I think Carly's a really interesting antagonist as well.
She's fascinating. Yeah. When I first heard why she was doing all of this, where she's like, I'm mad that the government is kicking us out of the houses because everyone returned from the blip and they only care about the people from the blip.
Didn't really make sense at first.
Well, kind of ironic since Sam was in the blip and obviously the government...
We have a Luna sighting.
Cute. Hi, baby. Obviously Sam was in the blip and the government doesn't care about him. So she just has a very skewed view of this. Yeah. And she's trying to take down the government... But I don't think it's right at all. Because,
no, she's extreme for sure.
Well, she doesn't care about the people in the blip, you know? And I think that that's kind of a very wrong view.
Yeah. It's just tough because, so first of all, a little backstory on her character. So in the comics, the character is actually Carl Morgenthau, and his name as a supervillain is the Flag Smasher. So this way, the way they took it, she's Carly, but she leads a group called the Flag Smashers. So it's cool just to see the idea just tinkered with a little bit. And essentially what she's doing is trying to get equality in a sense, but like she mentioned how... What?
She loves the ring lights.
Oh, yeah. She loves the camera.
Equality in a sense.
She's pretty much just trying to dismantle the establishments because she feels like she's being treated unfairly. When all the people disappeared, it's funny because she's kind of on the mindset that Thanos was right, in a way. It's kind of what she's getting at, because when those people disappeared, the argument was,
there's
look
so
at
many
all these resources we have, look at all these homes available now.
Now we get to live in homes for cheap,
yeah,
like a better value, a fair value.
Reasonably priced and all that stuff. And she's saying that as soon as everyone came back, now the focus is on getting those people's lives back to normal because you guys have been here the whole time.
Right, like getting their homes back to them.
Yeah, so in her case, she's like, I'm guessing she got, put in a home, a new home when everyone disappeared, and then they kicked her out because, let's say, the person potentially returned, and they're like, no, this is still my house.
Maybe even reappeared within their own house.
Yeah, and I think the craziest thing about this is it really puts, like, a human layer to how just insane the blip was and people disappearing, because this is something you have to deal with.
It was years.
5 years having to go on without friends and family is crazy. Having to go back to your job the day after appearing and says, hey, do I still work here? The house that you were renting now belongs to somebody else. It's just, there's so many layers to it. And outside of the Avengers, saving the day and getting everyone back in the first place, we don't see the problems that a lot of these people had to go through. WandaVision tried to hint at it in little ways, but it was nowhere close to seeing, people actually have to deal with... like
the monetary side of things.
Exactly.
I just think, obviously she's an extremist, and I guess she never had anyone to lose, I guess is the bigger picture. Almost everyone lost someone in the blip. So when they came back, they were willing to kind of, forgive the fact that they don't have everything at their fingertips anymore because they have their family back. She didn't have anyone to come back, so she was like, what the heck? I lost my job, my money, my house. They don't care about me. Like, this is so rude. Let's get rid of the people again. Yeah. And I don't understand how they're planning on doing that, really. Besides, I know that it's technically overthrowing the government, but she also hinted at just not wanting all the people there.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy, too, because their argument pretty much at this point is, now that we have the super soldier serum, because they did steal, about 20 vials, I think in episode 2 or 3, they're saying that now we have the power to make people do what we want. And in their eyes, they think they're just doing this for equality. In a, you know what I mean, kind of. It's just in the sense that we want to have all the resources for our people because you're giving all the resources to your people.
It's very Thanos.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey.
Cha-cha! No, not the... Chala, Luna, you have to jump! Don't just...
Oh. She's like, help.
Chala! I will literally... No! Yeah, no one likes it when you get it done back to you, huh?
Chala was being bad.
I pulled him back from his scruff. Did you see? He was like... He was like...
Our other cat is named T'Challa. Rest in peace. So you'll see him in a little bit if he hops it up on the screen.
Oh, he's definitely mad at me because I interrupted his, mating ritual with Luna. I know, baby. Oh, but what I was going to say, it's actually interesting because you phrased it in the way that, hey, now we have the super serum, we can make people do what we want. Isn't that, theoretically... Okay, so they have the super serum part of things. The government has the Captain America side of things. And they both think that because these are separate parts of the symbol, they can now do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And combined, they still shouldn't be able to do what they want. Literally, it proves that Captain America's always been about his heart.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Everyone knew that, but I feel like that's just, such a bigger picture thing now.
Yeah, and that's honestly what Sam, Bucky, and surprisingly Zemo are all trying to say. They're like, you know what I mean?
I love Zemo so much more than I thought I would.
I'm going to get to Zemo next. But, no, but what they're saying is, there's super soldiers are a problem. We have one here, obviously, Bucky, who's literally just trying to live in his apartment and leave everyone alone for the rest of his life. He's
just trying to make amends. He's trying to go back to a normal life.
Yeah, but they're weapons, and they're really strong weapons that lead to wars and lead to...
They need to be controlled.
Yeah, they need to be controlled, and it's just a really...
Very Sokovia Accords.
Well, that's the thing, too. Yeah. The Sokovia Accords are still in play right now.
No, obviously, but I mean, this is, a big... because Sokovia Accords is basically saying like, hey, superhuman people shouldn't have their own freedoms because they're too powerful.
They need to be like government controlled entities.
Right,
much.
exactly. And it's just a bummer because you know that like Bucky, I mean, he has his moments. He definitely has his moments.
It's still wild to me he got a pardon. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm Team Bucky all the way. That's pretty crazy. They, like, after all of it, he still was able to get a pardon and live his life.
Well, they mentioned that when they meet up with Isaiah. Because Isaiah says, after everything you did, and you're still pardoned. And Isaiah never did anything wrong. Like, as far as we understand, he was actually fighting against Bucky at one point.
Yeah, he was.
And he was imprisoned. And hidden from the world and kept secret and tested on. And it's just such a disgusting, like, duality.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand where Bucky was coming from because he said he never wanted to mention him because he didn't want to bring him back into the world. It's a very traumatic experience. Yeah. And I also understand where Sam was coming from, where he was like, this is something that we should have known. Why are you keeping this a secret? Yeah. But I don't know. Agree with that. On a lighter note, let's talk about Zemo.
Oh, yeah. I love Zemo so much. I still think the idea of breaking him out of jail is a little bit kind of like it's we're gonna kind of forget that happened.
It was chaotic.
It was pretty ridiculous, and it happened in the span of like he literally went to go meet him and decided I'm breaking you out of jail, and
he didn't really break him out. Zemo broke himself out.
Right, but Bucky just being on thin ice in general.
Oh, it was just so funny because he goes up to Sam and he's like, "I have a proposition."
He's like, "Let me run a hypothetical."
And then at the end of the hypothetical, you just see Zemo walk in and he's like, "This is hypothetical."
Yeah, but what they're getting at is Zemo, of course, knows resources and information that would help them stop these super soldiers. And at the end of the day, they are the bigger threats. Zemo is interesting because I rewatched Civil War to kind of understand his character again. And he's way different than I thought he was the first time I saw him. Because he
seemed like an extremist the first time.
Yeah, so I thought he was like someone within Hydra who like just got mad at Hydra and decided, we're done with this, but I won the Winter Soldier, but everyone else has to die. Essentially what he was is he was actually just colonel. He was a colonel in the Sokovian army. And while he was gone was when the Age of Ultron situation happened. They destroyed Sokovia. And
it killed his family.
Yes.
And he told his family, everything's going to be fine. You don't have to evacuate. And he comes back to the rubble where he says he uncovers them. And it's his dad holding on to his wife and kid. Yeah, and so that alone, is heartbreaking. But his whole motive in Civil War is to get the Avengers to kill each other. He's like, I can't do it. Yeah. I'm human. You know what I mean? Well, he's a smart dude, which is another reason why Bucky obviously brings him into it. Yeah. So, but to kind of sum that up, his end goal is to rid the world of super soldiers. So he's a bad guy in the sense of obviously he blew up the UN. He killed T'Chaka. He did a lot of bad things. But he wants just super soldiers to be gone, and that's why they brought him. That's why he busted him out of jail for help with this. So. Yeah, no, and he already proves so useful, like right off the bat. Yeah. I was so confused at first. I'm like, why do they even need him? And then a couple of minutes into episode 3, I'm like, it makes sense. Yeah, because like they're going to meet the power broker, which is something they never even would have known about. They have identities that they would have not known about. Given to them by Zemo. Yeah. And Zemo's so funny. Oh, yeah. I love all of their humors combined because it's so dry, so sarcastic, so like deadpan. And I love that kind of humor. Yeah. It makes me happy. Yeah. I loved episode 3 just because of how crazy it was right off the bat. Like we talked about, they broke Zemo out of jail. Once they partner up with him, they decide they're going to go over to a place called Madripoor for more information. And this is dope because it's a total X-Men reference. Like, not saying they're going to appear anywhere, but this is a place that is used a lot in the X-Men comics. With Wolverine and stuff. Wolverine. So to have that reference was really cool. It was so cyberpunk. It was, the lighting and the way this whole place was laid out was just awesome. Like, it was probably one of the coolest places I've seen in Marvel. And this is a place, like, if they were to ever just give you like a TV-14 or MA spin-off series, just like with side characters, it would be here. There's just so much shenanigans and stuff you could be doing on this in this place. Well, and right off the bat, like after the meeting goes awry and everything like that, we see what's her face? What's her name? Shannon? So we meet up with her again, and she's a bad guy. Well, not a bad guy, but she's had to do bad things because she never got a pardon for helping in Civil War with Captain America. And she's so sketch from the start, like, 100%. I mean, we're still confused, like, how their meeting originally went awry. Like, who did shoot Selby? If it wasn't them and it wasn't Sharon, It wasn't the broker, the power broker. So, who did shoot it, and why did Sharon pop up right after that? I have questions.
There's a lot of question marks because
is it Sharon?
What?
What's her name?
Sharon.
It is?
Yeah,
okay,
Sharon.
cool.
Yeah, so Sharon Carter, which is Peggy's niece.
I never liked her, if I'm going to be
This
honest.
is the one that Captain America ended up kissing in Civil War after she got the shield and wings back for him. She's been on Madripoor this entire time because she wasn't granted a pardon, which doesn't make sense to me, honestly.
Seems messed
everybody
up.
else did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like either they just forgot she was a separate case almost.
Yeah.
But you would think anyone related to this would have been pardoned.
Well,
but
and
I guess
her,
not.
her very, let's do everything for the better of society, and, like, the greater good is more important than anything else. Like, that mindset is completely gone from her. Like, she no longer has Peggy Carter's mindset.
Well, you have survival at this
No,
point.
and that's granted. Like,
Yeah.
I get why it happened. It's a very stark difference. Like, you can tell that she has been through it.
Oh, yeah. But that's what's interesting because, like, she's sketch. Like, she comes in and she
Because
helps
she's doing
them right
well
off
for
the bat.
herself. She's doing well for herself
Yeah.
in Madripoor, which isn't an easy place to do well for yourself.
Yeah, and I just feel like with the connection to Peggy, like, I can't assume that she's going to end up being a bad guy. But, like, going down the list of characters we've seen, she has the most red flags to be the power broker. Who is apparently, like, the king-ish kind of thing from Madripoor.
Think like Big Brother.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I just, out of all the characters we've seen, unless it's maybe Zemo and he's been doing it from jail the whole time.
No, I feel like it's definitely Sharon.
It has to be, right?
It feels like it. Like, it's just, she has all these connections.
Yeah.
She's so high up in Madripoor after, 5 years? You're going to tell me you built yourself up that fast? I'm not saying you're not intelligent and couldn't do it, but kind of surprising. And then, like, to top it off, she has all the information that the power broker has. We haven't met the power broker. And again, somehow Selby got killed, and then Sharon met up with them and saved them.
Yeah, the Selby scene was interesting. I actually brought this up to you the other day telling you about it. But when they went to go meet her, what?
Oh, no. I was trying to remember.
When they went to go meet her, they find out that they're not actually the people they're saying they are because Sam's sister calls and she calls him Sam. So she's like, kill them.
I love Sam's sister, by the way. Yeah. She's such a chill person.
Yeah. But so Selby, who's kind of like the leader of that bar they were at, she gets kind of sniped through the window. And
out of nowhere, because she's about to kill them. She's about to kill them.
And so everyone leaves, and then as soon as they walk out of the place, there's a bounty now on all of their heads. And,
for killing Selby.
Right, and so they all start running, go down the street a little bit, and then Sharon kind of saves them by killing whoever's trying to kill them. And she goes, basically just says, like, what are you doing here? What's going on? And
or
she's like
even kind of saying, like, okay, like, I just like put myself on the line to save you guys, you know, like.
But she mentioned, she's like, Selby's dead, as in I found out from this text message. But then we're wondering who killed Selby.
And how did she get there so quickly?
Yeah, because she didn't say it was her. No one else was in the room, and it wasn't any of the guys we were with. So it wasn't Zemo, it wasn't Falcon, and it wasn't Bucky. So that was weird. I feel like no one's really talked about that.
It's definitely sus. Like, it's gonna have to come back up eventually, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it'll even be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just because, like, it's definitely a storyline you can explore later.
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm curious about.
Yeah, it's because if they don't tell us, I have to assume it was Sharon. But it was weird because she didn't say it like it was, you know?
Yeah. So, and then we have, like, the iconic Zemo dancing in the club scene.
Yeah, and Marvel just released the Zemo Cut, which is a full minute, 30-second or 2-minute video of Zemo dancing in the club.
Honestly,
I didn't know how much I needed that.
Those 2 minutes of the Zemo Cut, I'm not gonna lie, might be better than the Snyder Cut combined. Hey. Come on!
No, it was great. Do the little Zemo dance.
He's just getting so into it, and you see, you know, Bucky and Sam just. I love it for him. I guess, like, the last things that really went down in episode 3 were just, like, they killed the guy, obviously, that was making the super serum. Mm-hmm. So there's no more super serum that's going to be made, which is bad because the power broker was using that for money, you know? He's actually after Carly.
Yeah, because she stole all the vials.
It's just an interesting thought, because if Sharon is, you know, the power broker.
Got the information on her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting, like, intertwining.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like there's much to say about the ending. That was kind of just like how it ended. Yeah. You know?
And we did get Io popping up at the end of episode 3.
Right. Okay, yeah. Io, who was T'Chaka's guard when he was killed. And obviously Zemo's the one that killed T'Chaka. So Wakanda wants revenge.
And with good reason, obviously. Yeah. But then it turns into this awkward situation because the
Bucky's
Wakandans were the ones who pretty much brought Bucky back to life. You know what I mean?
No, they brought him back.
Yeah, he has the new vibranium arm. He has full control over himself.
Well, they
you know
froze
what I mean?
him until they could work on his brain
Yeah.
with him, like psychologically help him through the pain.
Yeah. And so now that they know that...
They call him the White Wolf.
They call him the White
They're
Wolf.
the ones that gave him his new name, which he mentions in the first episode, that he isn't the Winter Soldier, he's the White Wolf.
Yeah. So I know, I really hope when this is all said and done, we either get a new series or a movie, and it's called Captain America and the White Wolf. Wouldn't that be sick?
Oh, yeah.
Just rename both of them?
Yeah.
So I really hope they do something like that. But yeah, the dynamic with Wakanda is interesting because they feel this is a betrayal. You know what I mean?
But you can tell that they're still giving Bucky the benefit of the doubt because he's telling them that he's like, I wouldn't do this if I didn't need to.
Yeah.
And I understand what this means to you. And I think like they all have this level of respect now with him. Like he was with them for 5 years or I don't know, 5. Like he was definitely with them for a lot.
Yeah.
No, it was 5 years.
I don't know how much time was between Civil War.
I think it was because remember I said like, how did Black Widow become blonde? And you're like, well, it's been like 4 or 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But so he was with them for a while. Like they have like a built respect. So you can tell that Io's giving him the benefit of the doubt. But it is just awkward because like you don't want that to be lost. And like that's always going to be a worry when he's protecting Zemo.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's because they don't owe or have any real obligation to Zemo. They are really just using him. But at
they
the end of
kinda
the
like
day,
him.
they're getting valuable information from him.
Well,
you know what I
you
mean?
can
And they're
tell-
realizing that his motives aren't like, I want to
Bad.
destroy the world or take over. He's like, I know how you work. I don't need any more of you. You know what I mean? Like in the sense of super soldiers to Bucky. So
Well, you can tell they're kind of like gaining a respect for him. Kind of in the same way they're getting a respect for each other. They all just hate each other, but they secretly all really like each other and want to be best friends.
and they all really want the same thing.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they really do.
So it's going to be interesting.
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, there wasn't much to say about John Walker's best friend.
Yeah, he didn't really do much in the first. Like we get a lot more in episode 4.
You can
so
tell
we'll
that
go over
he's kind of
next.
like
It's a moral compass.
a moral compass. He's there to kind of like guide John Walker. He's there to kind of like vilify his emotions, be like, yeah, you're not crazy, like you're doing the right thing, all this kind of stuff. He's definitely his rock.
Yeah,
you know. But besides that, we just get a lot of jokes, you know, because like with Falcon being like, really, really,
What was his name? Battlestar.
oh my god, he was like, that was
Well, that's his
the
actual
last
name
straw.
in the comics, but
Oh no, obviously, but
Yeah.
that was just so funny for him to be like, that's the last straw.
yeah,
Yeah, and unfortunately, he hasn't done much. I can tell that I like him better than John Walker just
yeah,
off the
100%.
bat, and I'm like, why couldn't he be Captain America?
yeah, right. Literally anybody else would have been better.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 1 through 3. Like I said, it does start slow,
Battery's
but it picks up every single episode. So if you haven't started, well, hopefully you've watched it. If you're listening to this,
Hopefully, otherwise you've gotten pretty damn spoiled.
I'm so sorry.
But
you
otherwise,
forgot the spoiler warning.
yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious when we make these. But yeah, the first episode, don't count it for the rest of the episodes because they've just gotten better. Like I said, we're gonna do like a whole, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but just talking about episode 4 pretty dang soon. Just because there was so much that went down, very serious topics.
Yeah, we'll see about 5 and 6. Like if 5 is that crazy, like it might be, we'll see. There's apparently a big cameo, and
Yeah,
I
so
hate
play it
when
by
people
ear.
say that,
Play
but
it by ear.
Yeah, so,
I'm not counting anything for cameos anymore. Not after
I know.
WandaVision. Not after.
I don't like them doing all these like mid-series
Cameos.
No, these mid-series interviews. You know what I mean? Just let us watch it first and then talk.
I
about
mean,
it
I don't
after.
watch the mid-series interviews.
I
That's
don't.
why.
Well, I see them like the
Yeah.
quotes and stuff. But if episode 5 is that crazy, we'll do one. If not, we'll just do it for 5 and 6 when they're both done. But,
Yeah, we're just gonna play it by ear. So kind of depending on how we feel about things as they go along. But that's kind of it for now.
that's all I got.
That's all we got. So please stand by. I feel like there was something I wanted to say when you mentioned when you were saying the mid-series interview part. Like there was something I wanted to mention. Oh, I remember.